things theology, all things theology. We chop it up properly, without an apology. Gotta give that theology to God, hollow be, cause this is how we do it at All Things Theology.
Yo, grace and peace. Welcome back to an episode of All Things Theology, where this is your host K-Dub, and today we're going to be providing an update on the Robert Morris scandal. There has been an update from his own church that Robert Morris may be facing criminal charges, as well as some other issues. Let's get into the first clip. Let's talk about it. I want to read an article as well. Let's get into this first video. Let's check it out.
By or works at Gateway Church, they have been removed. Many of you may be wanting more specific details. First, you need to know that Gateway Church is currently the target of various pending and or threatened litigation matters, including some financial demands that we have received from Robert Morris, which, to be clear, we are rejecting. Second, you also need to know that Gateway Church is currently and fully cooperating with an ongoing criminal investigation, the details of which we can't share with you at this time, and it prohibits us from saying more, but I can share that neither the church nor its current leadership are subjects of this criminal investigation. These past 4.5 months have been very difficult and challenging time for our church.
Wow. What an update. A couple things, two things. I will start with the last one, is that there's a criminal investigation going on. It's very clear who it is against Robert Morris. The police are involved. I'm assuming Southlake PD is involved with an investigation. Some people may be saying, hey, what about statute of limitations? I want to get to that at the end of this video. But right now we know that police are involved and they're investigating. I'm assuming this SA event that happened when Robert Morris was in his early 20s. Two, you might have heard in the beginning, is Robert Morris is demanding for financial resources, for some kind of payout, in which Gateway is saying no. Let me be fair to Gateway. I was appreciative of some of the things they said in this comments here. People may want to assume ill motives. I'm trying to be objective as I can. And look, I think it's good they're cooperating with the police. I also think it's good that they're not just trying to get some settlement with Robert Morris. Because I had heard some rumors, speculations, some update that Robert Morris is actually trying to start another church. Very interesting if that's the case, but this probably will halt any of those plans if that is the case. Also, let me be fair to say that he's saying no one else is involved that goes to the church. I'm not sure if that rules out people who have left. If they're being investigated, more will come out, I'm certain. But let me share my screen here so we can read this article. And let's actually talk about it. As you can see from CBS News, Gateway Church report reveals criminal investigation, massive governance failure over Robert Morris alleged abuse. So let's go here. Let's talk about it. And we'll read all of this. So if you'd like to check this article out, it's on cbsnews.com. It says a private investigation into allegations that Gateway Church founder Robert Morris had a sexual relationship with a 12-year-old girl in the 1980s has uncovered a massive failure involving former church leadership. And that certainly is the case. The church is actually going to address that, which I actually appreciated their answer. Again, we will get there. It says the investigation, which the church said now involved law enforcement, also reveals that others knew of Morris' relationship with the underage girl and failed to ask additional questions, right? Yeah, that's definitely the case. It says, we must be honest with ourselves and acknowledge that our culture allowed this truth to be buried for too long, said Trey Wilbanks. And that was the gentleman that was just speaking as well. This is a statement from him. He says, an elder at Gateway Church. 4 church leaders who had information about Morris' relationship have been removed following the investigation, he said. So 4 elders knew about this, didn't say anything. So I don't know if they will be brought under some kind of criminal investigation or again, all this needs to be played out and developed, right? He says this was a massive governance and accountability failure, right? And so let's continue on. It says, when a church becomes centered around one pastor alone, it's lost its way, Wilbank said. And unfortunately, we have come to the realization over the last several months that at some point in the past, the culture at Gateway became one where power has centralized and the leader at the top was surrounded by people who wanted to protect them, some of them at all costs. Well, let me acknowledge where he's right. Gateway Church was centered around one pastor. And as we know, it is a dangerous thing. And the Bible also encourages multiple eldership and not just glorified deacons who have the label elder, but, not the where, the one pastor is taking all the shots and nobody can address him or confront him. Not that, right? But, when you give all this man a power, when they're preaching all these things that are not biblical, yeah, you're gonna get into some messy issues, right? Two, I would say I don't think this was over the last several months, but this has been the case for Robert Morris for years. I don't think we should downplay that and just say, hey, he was being protected for decades, not just the last several months. I would disagree with that language, but I want to acknowledge where I think he got it right. Continuing on, Morris allegedly had a inappropriate relationship, sexual relationship with a minor between 1982 and 1987. When he was traveling evangelist in his early 20s, on June 14th, Cindy Clemishire, whose parents had befriended Morris, publicly accused the pastor of repeatedly SAing her during that period. Wilbank said he couldn't release additional details because of continual criminal investigation and ongoing litigation against Gateway Church, including what he said were financial demands from Robert Morris. And that's totally fine. From a legal perspective, sometimes you are limited in what you can say publicly because it is an investigation. And also there's some financial things he could sue. You don't want that to happen. And so I don't have a problem with him not being as open about this because he can't. I mean, I don't think we should demand him to when he's, not able to. So let's be fair too is with that. He says, but I can share that neither the church nor its current leadership are subject of this criminal investigation. And maybe that word current was intentional because maybe former leadership may be under some kind of criminal investigation. I don't see how not, given the circumstances, right? It says the Haynes-Boone investigation involves 680 gigabytes of data, reviewing thousands of pages of documents, emails, and interviewing more than 24 individuals, Wilbank said. 6 individuals, including Robert Morris, refused to meet with Haynes-Boone's, Wilbank said. Wow. So there may be up to 6 individuals being investigated or seeking an investigation on. He says the law firm's findings were presented to a 3-member subcommittee. Says what happened to Cindy was heartbreaking and vile, and we denounce any SA in all its forms. He says we feel deep sorrow for those who have been victimized by such despicable actions. Wilbanks praised Clemshire for stepping forward, resulting in others who hadn't come forward before sharing their stories. And so yeah, that's pretty much the end of that, right? And so very interesting. I'm interested to see what will happen next. And also the criminal charges that could be brought against him. I can think of a few. I want to talk about that real quick. But first, I want to address this issue of limitations, because people have said, hey, from the get-go, like, no, it's past limitations. Well, I'm going to read the Code of Criminal Procedure and some of the Penal Code just real quick. I don't want to bore you guys. But in Texas, there is no limitation. Right. Let's talk about that, because I just want to make that clear, because, I mean, it could be 40, 50 years later. If there is evidence, and there is evidence because there is an admission by Robert Morris, there's an admission by the church. I don't know many people who are denying this, actually. So let's look at that. Look what the Code of Criminal Procedure says. If you can read right there, I'll try to. Notice what it says. No limitation. Notice what's there. SA, right? And it possibly can be continuous. Let me read that. Continuous SA. Sorry, this is kind of hard to read. So it's child under 14 years of age. Yeah, this is the charge we're looking at. Okay. SA of a young child which would fit because Cindy was under the age of 14 at the time, which is right here, right? So clearly fits one of those elements of the crime right there. And where it could be continuous is, let's look, right? Continuous because during a period that is 30 or more days, during that duration, the person commits 2 or more. So this would meet the element of continuous. So if the SA happened twice in a month, that would be continuous. Now, where you can have multiple charges is multiple counts if it was multiple times, let's say 30 days and then 2 months go by and then 30 days there's 2 acts of continuous. I mean, you could have multiple counts of continuous, right? And so I'm interested in some aspect to see what will be the actual charges brought against him. And you can even go to some form of clergy abuse as well. Will there be some issue with the finances? I think there could be a multiple layer of issues that happens because of this. That again, I think this will be a couple year process. I don't think anything will happen tomorrow, but there's going to be some investigation, and I don't see how this could end pretty for Robert Morris. Now, what will be the penalty? Will there be just a slap on the wrist? I don't know. That's up to the courts, right? But if there is some kind of viewing of that, maybe we can look at that here on the channel. But I just wanted to provide an update and to talk about it. What are your guys' thoughts? Leave them in the comment section below. Till the next time, grace and peace. Oh, grace and peace. Thank you for watching another episode of All Things Theology. If you enjoyed what you heard today, go on and give me a like. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. I promise to give you weekly lives, videos, interactions, exposing false teachers, sharing with you, the viewer, my theological beliefs, things about the culture, and the Bible. So if you're here for that, come on and join us. Also, if you would like to support this channel financially, you can do so by becoming a Patreon member or a YouTube member. Links are in the description below. You can see content before it drops. You can also have Q&A sessions with also other Patreon members, YouTube members as well. So if you would like that, hit the description link in below.